What's going on, everybody? TK here with the Service Alliance Group, and I got my boy Adam and my boys, plural, Adam and Dr. Dan. How y'all doing this morning?
Morning, everybody. Good morning,
Less
TK.
highly favored. How you doing?
All right, there we go. I had the layout all jacked up. So, happy Friday, everybody! We made it through another week. We're here at the weekend. Me and Dr. Dan and Adam did our community group last night, and we said, you know what? Let's hit the old grind, all three of us, next morning, and see what comes of it. We have a basic topic to talk about, but as you know, this could go anywhere. So if you have any questions, if you have anything that any just burning topics on your heart, drop them in the chat. We'll be happy to hit those. But if not, we're just gonna ramble on. So you guys just buckle up but we do love hearing from you guys. So definitely drop that in the chat. How was your week, Dr. Dan? We haven't seen you in a while.
Been extremely busy. Actually, surprisingly busy.
That's a good thing.
No, it's not. I'm lazy.
But you're making
it does beat the alternative, though.
That's true. Keeps mama happy.
Yep, exactly.
I'm coming to the conclusion that Whirlpool's going to help me make boat payments.
Yeah, man.
I wish I could say that.
I don't know, man. I posted that thing in the group this week about Whirlpool that Ben from Ben's Appliances posted. He made this really good video. If you haven't watched it, go over to Ben's Appliances and check it out, because it is a really, really good video, just talking about Whirlpool and Maytag and Amana and the recent layoffs that Whirlpool has been doing and shutting down factories and things like that. So I'm pretty excited to see which way it goes. I definitely feel personally that Whirlpool needs to happen with Whirlpool, because here recently, in the last, I don't know, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years, it just seems like a downhill slide for Whirlpool. And I want to say this on record, even though, I've said a lot of stuff negative about Whirlpool. The reason that I'm so critical of Whirlpool is because of what they used to be. They were one of the absolute best, in my opinions. When I came into this trade, I was flipping appliances, and I loved those direct drive washers. I love those top lint screen 2-roller Whirlpool dryers. And it's just sad, I don't know if it's corporate greed or what it is, but to see the degrade of quality in appliances, and then everybody says, well, they all suck. And that's true, they all do suck. But at the end of the day, Whirlpool used to be great. I never felt like GE was all that great. I never felt like Frigidaire. They were better back in the day. But Whirlpool and Maytag, they were great. So I'm wondering if we're having some sort of connection issue, because I see 0 people. If you're watching, does it say, okay, it says one person's watching. We must have some sleepyheads out there. Either that or everybody is already out there knocking calls out. I don't know. But what do y'all think about that? Let me hear y'all's opinion, and don't feel obligated to chime in. But what do you think, Dr. Dan?
Well, I've seen the evolution for a while. I remember the Whirlpool belt drives. Those things were a tank, with the wigwags and all the goodies. But and even Frigidaire, back when they were owned by General Motors, back then it was old school thought. It was American made, meant something, and that we're going to build something better than somebody else. They took pride in the fact that this machine was going to last forever. But like you say, then the yuppie syndrome came in, and it wasn't Frigidaire was the first one to fall victim to it with WCI, and it was we don't care about longevity. What is bottom line? How cheap can I get it? And the manufacturers, of course, okay, you want cheap? We'll give you cheap. And
Yep.
you know, the people who ended up as executives are of that mindset. And one of their KPIs isn't how the customer satisfaction KPI isn't the same as it used to be. It used to be, you know, not only would you ever buy one of these machines again, and would you recommend it, do you feel that this machine is going to be of a good quality? What we keep talking about in the repair business or in the service business, perception of value. People are losing that perception of value. They're coming to expect to have to replace machines.
Yep.
And it's sad to see. It really is. You know, there was a time that I did not like working. I did not recommend Speed Queen because I hated pulling the hubs on those stupid things, and the transmissions would lock up back in the days when I worked for Amana. Now they're considered the number one washer, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the look on people's faces when I have to go in and, yes, ma'am, we've got a bad board, or we've got a bad inverter, or we've got, you know, you got a leaking seal on their Speed Queen. Wait a minute, it's not supposed to break. Perception of value.
Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, I carried on there.
I feel that Whirlpool inherited a lot of Maytag's problems and carried them over, and they're finally catching up with Whirlpool. Maytag made a whole bunch of poor decisions in the early 2000s that came back to haunt them. The day that they discontinued the Dependable Care washing machine was the day that they put their nail in their coffin and made their business go bankrupt. I remember doing tub sears in those Searcy washing machines like crazy. How many I would pop out in a day. I could do 2 to 3 seal jobs in one of those washing machines in a day. And I remember they failed anywhere between 6 weeks and 6 months after we put them in people's houses. There were some people I did 2 or 3 tub seals under warranty, and the 2-year period it was under the warranty. And that all added up for Maytag after a while.
Yeah. And the old, now when you started talking about the old LAT 9700s and even the A608s and whatnot, I could pop one of those boot seal. I could have one of those jobs done within an hour, but they lasted. They flat.
I could do it in my sleep.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was a sad day when they discontinued all those parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm still seeing them out here.
Yep, me too.
You know, you know what, let's pray and then we'll get into some discussion. I think prayer is a good thing. You want to pray us up, Dr. Dan?
Sure. Father, we glorify your name. Thank you for this week. The good and the bad, the good and the learning opportunities we've had. Father, I ask that you be with everybody today, that you help us to finish strong and to bring you glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Love it. Love it. So we're talking this week about expectations and customer conflict, dealing with issues with customers, setting expectations before, during, after the service call, and everything in between. And this is a big topic. I think a lot of people, especially when you're first getting into business, or when you're first training a technician, or when you're first training a CSR, oftentimes overlook how important setting expectations and conflict resolution are. And there's a proverb in chapter 15, verse 1. It says, "A soft answer turns away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger." And this proverb should be taught in every single business, in every single office, in every single service business across the country. And you don't have to use it verbatim, but the way that we respond is so important. Not just in business, but in life itself. The way that we respond to that customer is everything. I'm going to share a story. And while I'm sharing my story, Dr. Dan and Adam, if you guys think of a story similar where you responded in either a good or bad way, I'd love to hear yours. If you have some stories in the comments, drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear yours. But I'd love to hear more about times when the way you responded was either good or bad. We want to hear both. But I'm going to talk about one that just happened this week. We had a property manager, and this property manager was PITA, pain in the ass. She was a PITA. She was a PITA, and her name actually rhymes with PITA. I'm not going to say her name, but her name actually rhymes with PITA, believe it or not. And I had told Beth, me and Austin had told Beth years ago, like, this lady's on her last string. And Beth is one of the most gracious, forgiving. She will work with anybody. And oftentimes it frustrates me a little bit because she gives too much grace. But finally, I'd had enough with this woman. And I was done with her. I went out on a job and we needed to order a water valve. And she was calling in asking why it was so expensive. I think the job was like $425 or something like that. It was an expensive valve. And she was calling in asking all these questions. And I got her on the phone. She was like, she wanted to talk to me because I was the tech that went out. I got her on the phone and she basically started asking a bunch of questions. And I said, listen, I said, I really appreciate the fact that you've used us over the years. I said, but I think it's time for you to find someone else to start doing your appliance repair. I said, unfortunately, I said, I don't think we're going to be a good fit for you anymore. And I said, I would like for you to go ahead and start looking for somebody else. I told her, I said, I'm going to waive the service fee on this job. I said, any jobs that we currently have going for you, we will finish and complete and all that good stuff. I said, but this just isn't working out for us anymore. And she was like, oh, are you sure about that? I was like, yes, ma'am. I said, I'm 100% sure. She was like, oh, well, we send you guys a ton of work. I had Beth go back and look at how many jobs she sent us in 2024. She sent us 10 jobs. I have customers that send me 10 jobs a week. 10 jobs a year to me isn't anything. And every job is the same with this woman. Pain in the ass over and over and over again. Can you do this? Can you do that? Well, why is this so expensive? Why are your prices going up? Every time we raise prices, she complains about it. But the way I fired her with such kindness and grace and just I didn't feed into her craziness, the crazy cycle, as I like to call it. And that's what you have to do. A soft answer turns away wrath. I could have gotten on the phone with her and said, listen up, chick. I'm sick and tired of your crap. You call in and harass my CSR every time and ask a million questions. You're a pain in the ass. But I didn't do that. I just said, listen, ma'am. I said, I really appreciate all your work over the years. I said, but I think it's time that we part ways. We're just not a good fit for you. I didn't say anything mean about her. I didn't, bash her character or bring up all the stuff that I could have brought up. I just softly told her and kindly told her, hey, it's time for us to part ways. And that's what this proverb is talking about. A soft answer turneth away wrath. And honestly, people can't stand it when you do that. Like the people that are just there's certain types of people, the hotheads, they're waiting for an opportunity to blow up on you. They're waiting for an opportunity for you to say one cross thing. But when you kill them with kindness, I was reading in the proverb the other day. Actually, I think it was this morning. And it talks about when our enemies are hungry and we feed them, and our enemies are thirsty and we give them drink. And when our enemies are doing this, that, and the other, and we go there and we bless them, when you bless your enemies, it's like heaping hot coals upon their head.
Yep.
It's like heaping hot coals upon their head because they want to retaliate. They want to get mad. But when you kill them with kindness, that's what I teach my kids every day. Kill them with kindness. No matter what it is, kill them with kindness. Don't stoop down to their level. Mm-hmm. Jesus said that one of our commandments is to love our enemies. And I think that that is one of the hardest commandments that Christ put forth, to love your enemies. It's easy to love those that love you back. And I'm not saying your customers are your enemies, but the people that are trying to go against you, the people that are trying to stir up strife, when you kill them with kindness, man, that is truly the character of a follower of Christ. And it's hard to do, man. It's really hard to do. Do either of you guys have any story? I'm sure you do, as many years as y'all have been doing this. Do y'all have any stories like that, either in the good or bad? Because I'll be honest with you, I got a couple stories I can share about when I lost my crap too. And those didn't end nearly as well as the one from yesterday.
Yeah, I got some that ended pretty badly. I got two that ended not that good. So, one time I went over to a customer's house to look at a Samsung refrigerator, and he was very upset that he thought the heating element should be replaced separate from the evaporator. It was one of the ones where they ran the heating element through the inside of the evaporator. So, and to change the heating element, you had to change the whole evaporator. And he didn't think that was right because he went on Google and Google said otherwise. He called the store before I even was done diagnosing the refrigerator, complaining. And I packed up my stuff and I started walking out. And I probably shouldn't have said that. Good luck trying to find somebody else to look at this, because there's nobody else in town. And he blocked the door and wouldn't let me out and spit in my face. And I ended up having to call the cops to get out of his house. Yeah.
That one right there, man, for me, you spit in my face, it's go time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like that is the one thing that I like. If you spit on me, as far as I'm concerned, that's assault. And it's go time. Like, you have crossed the line at that, man. I don't know what I would have done. Kudos.
I also learned a whole bunch of new words that I did not know that he called me. So
oh, nice.
Yeah.
So he expanded your vernacular a little bit.
Exactly.
Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Well, you learn from every instance, right?
Exactly.
All right, Dr.
I'm sure
Dan,
you have some
time.
interesting stories, Dan.
I'm trying to think of one that
You're so cool, calm, and collective. I can't even picture you mad.
Oh,
Like, that would be like, I'm sure Marion could give us some testimonies, but like, I don't know, like, both of you guys just always seem so cool, calm, and collective. I feel like you probably handle every customer with a lot of grace and a lot of care and compassion, but I'm sure there's been a few times.
I've learned over the years getting mad at a customer is not the answer to the problem.
Right.
No matter how mad you get at a situation, you got to keep a cool head, because you could get that situation out of control really fast.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
And, you develop a thick skin after a while, and you get to the point where, you do the best you can. I had an old tech tell me one time, you do the best you can. Absolutely, do whatever you can. And by, showing your enemies, love doesn't mean that you're going to be a doormat, but do the best you can. And you're going to screw up. If you screw up, you make it right. If you can't, customer's going to end up one of two things. Either they're going to get over it, or when they die, they're going to die mad.
Yep.
Not your control, not your job, not your problem.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I've had them where they didn't want to let me out the door because, what do you mean you don't have the part on the truck? And a lot of times you have to explain, okay, if I had every part that could possibly be the problem, I would have to charge you $1,000 just to walk in the door.
You'd have to drive a semi.
Do you have exactly? Have you ever been to, ma'am? Have you ever been to something and left something at home? Ever forgot your keys? I understand that that this is bad, but yeah, I've had guns pulled on me. I've had And I look at the guy and I go, dude, it's your refrigerator.
Right.
Really?
I've never had that
And
happen.
he actually apologized. It was like, oh man, I don't know what came over me. My wife's got, been climbing all over me about this damn thing and, yada, yada. I said, I understand, dude. Now I'm going to take care of you, but we're not going down this road again.
That's crazy, man. Imagine pulling a gun on a service provider. Like, that's just next level stupidity.
The funniest one, I guess, was the drunk. That one. The guy was drunk. And, normally in this situation, I even tell the guys, it's just like cockroaches. We don't service, And he was talking stupid, but, I'm just here to take care of your two-door Amana. The one where you got to tip the refrigerator to be able to change the condenser fan motor.
Oh, yeah.
That's a beauty. So I started working on it, and I mean, he's calling me everything but a white man. I mean, he's calling me everything but a Christian. And I finally said, okay, that's it. I could tell where this was going. I packed up my tools and started leaving. Well, as I'm leaving, his wife gets home. And she's like, what is my refrigerator's working? I said, no, ma'am. And I explained to her, he's being a punk, and I'm either going to hit him with a hammer and get assault, or I'm going. Anyway, you follow me, and you can tell who wore the pants in that house. She came in, he started coming in, what are you fucker? And you get she climbed him like an angry mountain.
Oh, wow.
He went from 10 foot tall and bulletproof to about 2 inches. And yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. She had something on him.
That's
the job.
Funny.
Some of the funny stuff was when I came back, I wasn't always a Christian. And when I came back, the Lord grabbed me by the scruff of the neck. And I was back on, I was on fire. Now, here I am in Phoenix, Arizona, second largest Mormon population, and not exactly a Christian town. I've got your refrigerator apart. Let's talk about who Jesus is. So that was those are the ones I really enjoyed. Because people were a lot more receptive to it than you'd think.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think a big part of it, when we're talking about expectations and, the customer, the name of this episode is When the Customer Wants the World for $99. And you set those expectations, and no matter how, and I will say this, no matter how good you are, no matter how many processes and procedures you have and systems in place to set those expectations, you're gonna have that customer that hears what they want to hear. Mm-hmm. And that's where the conflict resolution ties into it. Because Beth is a master at setting the expectations for the customer. But at least once a month or once or twice a month, I go out and they go, oh, the $99 doesn't cover the labor too, or the $99 doesn't go towards the repair. And I'm like, ma'am, yes, it does go towards it. I said, your $99 is included in this price. You present, the total is going to be $425. Well, I thought the $99 goes towards it. Yes, ma'am, the $99 is in there. And you can set expectations all day, but sometimes, especially, and I'm no bashing to the elderly, but my target customer is the elderly, and for some reason, the elderly like to hear what they want to hear. And you also have to keep in mind that some of them aren't as sharp as they used to be. A little bit of dementia or whatever might be setting in, just not as sharp as they used to be. So set expectations from jump. As soon as they come to your website, as soon as they call in, you should be setting those expectations of how things are going to go. But these conflicts are going to come up, and the way that you respond to them is the only thing that you can control. This is a life lesson. This isn't just a running service lesson. in life, you cannot 100% control what comes at you. You cannot control the way that jerk, and this is for TK because TK struggles with road rage. You cannot control the way that jerk drives down the interstate, but you can control the way that you react to that jerk driving down the interstate. You can't control the way that that customer reacts when she finds out that her 2.5-year-old Maytag top load washer needs another $225 repair because Whirlpool is putting too short of wires on their drain pump wire harness. Whirlpool. But you can control the way you react to Miss Johnson when she's flipping out. Ma'am, I understand. Unfortunately, the quality just isn't what it used to be. This is a known issue, but unfortunately, they're not doing anything about it. There's all sorts of ways, but if your reaction is, yeah, this thing's a piece of crap, I don't blame you, man. Whatever. Be professional. A soft answer turns away wrath. Calm them down. The way you react, if you feed into all that anger, it's just going to build and build and build. But when you say, I understand, ma'am, I'm here to help you. I'm here to make this thing right for you. And at the end of the day, I just want to do what's best for you. Give them their options. Say, we don't have to fix it. You could go out, you could buy an LG top loader. They're pretty good. You could buy a Speed Queen. They're a little more expensive, and start giving them their options instead of coming back with them with more frustration. Kind of ease them a little bit. Let them know, hey, you know what? Whirlpool's not what it used to be. Maytag isn't Maytag anymore. It's Whirlpool. But here's some other options. Let me see. We got Saul chiming in this morning. Buenos dias, amigo. ¿Cómo está?
Yeah,
if they want the world, give it to them. I like this. If you want the world, give it to them just at your price.
Yep.
Well, and there's no sense in there's no sense in jumping in there and going, yeah, it's a big piece of crap. Well, you just lost the sale of that repair.
Yep.
Because now you've planted in their mind that ain't nothing you're going to do that's going to make this thing any better. So,
and I found that if you're trying to sell them a new one, when you condemn the old one, if you're agreeing with them that the product is garbage, they're never going to come back to you to buy a new one from you. So you got to watch that fine line that you're walking when you're explaining that stuff to them.
And I'd like to touch on that a little bit, fellas, because hold on, my camera's messing up. Because there's a thin line that we walk between being truthful and shooting ourselves in the foot when it comes to selling the job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'll be straight up honest with you guys this morning. I struggle with this because a lot of times when I go out and I see that 2-year-old Whirlpool already giving them issues, I feel in some way, shape, or form obligated to let them know, yeah, these machines aren't that great. But on the flip side of it, I tell them this: look, if you're not willing to go out and buy an LG or a Speed Queen, you might as well fix this thing because you can go buy a GE. It's a piece of junk too. You can go out and buy a Whirlpool. If you have a Maytag, you can go out and buy a Whirlpool. It's the same exact washer you have now. It's made by Whirlpool. They're all made by Whirlpool.
The only thing different is the features on the control panel.
Yeah, and what do you want to do, Mrs. Johnson? Do you want to go out and buy an LG or a Speed Queen? Because I'll be more than happy to collect my $99 and move on down the road. But if you're not willing to go out and buy one of those two brands, you might as well fix this one. And how do you guys navigate that? Because I feel as a technician and as a business owner, it's my responsibility to be truthful with my customers. And we all know that a lot of these newer appliances that are coming out are absolute garbage. So how do you dance that dance with the customer of setting the expectations, being truthful, but still selling the job and making the money that you're needing to make?
You want to go first?
That is a tough one for me because it can go either way because I make money off of selling them a new one or I make money off of fixing it. But as I normally put the estimate together for my customer. and I take it to them. And if it's under 6 years old, and if it's a relatively inexpensive repair, I'll recommend fixing it. If it's just a control board or something not that major, I'll say put it in. But as I tell all my customers, I can fix any issue that you have with your appliance. It's a matter of how much you want to stick into it. If you really like this appliance, I've had appliances lately where I wouldn't have stuck that money into it, but the customer feels that they want to stick it into it. It also came back to haunt me when I'd done that, and especially on an extremely old unit. I had a wall oven that was an old Gen Air wall oven that we installed probably 25 years ago in this lady's kitchen. Control board's discontinued. I put a control board, sent it in to have it rebuilt. It came back. It still isn't working. I had to replace the cooling fan. And finally, we had to wash our hands of it. We just had to tell them we can't do it anymore because it just isn't cost effective for us. Because you got to watch too. Is that repair going to be cost effective for you to fix it when you get done? Too, because you don't want to lose money on that repair either. So,
right.
Are you going to fix it and then have to go back how many times to keep fixing it after you fix the original problem?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's where we charge $120 for our service call, and that covers an inspection. I make sure the customer understands we're inspecting this machine. We don't just come in and go, yeah, you need a new board. So we look underneath, we make sure everything's, and I'll tell them flat out, okay, now problems we've seen on this machine in the past, wires in the pump. Yesterday I had one that was 11 months old, and the transmission agitator came out with shaft came out with the agitator. I explained to the customer, yep, I've seen this before, and we may have some problems with the pump, yada, yada. Personally, I'd get a hold of Whirlpool. Whirlpool, of course, is like, told her to go, break rocks. So I'm going to be rebuilding a washer. But
they aren't that bad, Dan.
When they're out of, I know I'm lazy though. But when we're out there on a COD, I explain to the customer, look, we put a warranty on everything, including the inspection. So if you have another problem with this machine, I see where Joe's talking about getting that call back. We will come back, and we're probably going to have what we're going to need, because we've seen so many different things on this particular machine. I'm going to stand behind my work. So no matter what that customer's opinion is of that washer, they won't lose faith in you. Mm-hmm. They're still, Dr. Dan's going to be my guy. Dr. Dan can, whatever you want to call it. And if I make a mistake, if the machine does turn out to be a lemon, I've got options of people who's going to either take part of my service call off towards the purchase of another machine, or I'm going to get you a machine. We're going to work something out. But you're going to get your 1% that you can crap gold bricks and they wouldn't be happy.
Oh yeah.
You just got to work with them.
I can tell you that I have exchanged more product in the last 2 years than I've ever exchanged before in the 51 years we've been in business. I have 2 refrigerators sitting in my shop right now that had to be exchanged because we just couldn't fix them. We were putting part after part after part. We put a part in, and then 2 weeks later, another issue would pop up. And we put a part in, and 2 weeks later, another issue would pop up. And the keep our name as a good name in the community, we just ended up giving the customer a new refrigerator because it just doesn't pay to keep going over there, especially when they bought it from us. Whirlpool won't give them new appliances, so we end up having to do the exchanges ourselves.
So you end up eating it as the retailer.
Yep.
Because Whirlpool won't help you out with that either.
Yep.
Wow.
You said something, Dan, a few minutes ago, and I wanna reiterate it because I don't think you realized what a golden nugget it was, and I don't know if the viewers realized how much of a golden nugget it was. You said something to the effect of, you are there to make them trust in Dr. Dan's appliance repair. Mm-hmm. I'm not there to make you trust in Whirlpool. I'm not there to make you trust in Samsung. I'm not there to make you trust in LG. I'm there to make you trust in my company. Ms. Johnson, Richmond Appliance Guys is here to help you with your appliance needs, whatever those are. I'm not here to bash the product that you bought. Like Saul said, I'm not here to make you question your intelligence. I'm here to help you, to educate you, and to guide you in whatever decisions you make. And I am not going to push anything on you. If you don't want to fix this piece of crap, I'm not going to use that word. I'm using that word on here. But if you don't want to fix this Maytag that is broken 3 times in the last 3 years since you bought it, I totally understand, Miss Johnson.
Yep.
I'll collect my $99. I'll give you all the information I can on what to go out and buy. You are there to make them trust in your company, whether it's Dr. Dan, whether it's Richmond Appliance Guy, in your Lang's Appliance, Adam. I always get that. You know, I was driving down the road the other, just nothing to do with anything, but I was driving down the road recently, and I can't remember where I was, but there was this huge building, and it said Lang's on the side of it, and I was like, hey, that's Adam's company. I wonder if he's branching out into Virginia.
No, there's a line of high-end appliances that they make in South Dakota. That's Lang's Appliance too. So we get phone calls from people all the time about trying to reach the factory, thinking that we're their factory service.
Yeah.
So,
I'll say this as we're wrapping things up, and if you guys have any closing thoughts as well. When you're going out there and the customer is expecting the world for $99, remember, it's always a learning opportunity. If there's something within your systems and your processes and your procedures that needs to change to better set the expectations with the customer, then do it. But if you go back and you self-reflect and you look at your processes and procedures, and you make sure your CSR script is good, and you make sure that your technicians are saying the right thing, you just have to realize that some customers are going to hear what they want to hear. And that's when the way you react is key. Because I had a guy recently, and Austin went out there, and the guy needed an ice maker. It was a GE ice maker, and this dude could not grasp the fact, and he was a jerk too, which made it even worse. But he could not grasp the fact that we're just replacing the ice maker. We're not replacing parts in the ice maker. We're not taking the ice maker apart and replacing the internal components of that. We're just putting a new ice maker in. It was like, well, why can't we just take it apart and see what's broken on the inside and fix what's on? Because that's not the way we do it, man. We replaced the whole. Do you want the ice maker fixed? And obviously we didn't handle it this way. I wasn't there, but Austin was like literally 20 minutes of back and forth with this guy. And Austin at the end was just like, sir, here's the parts breakdown for this machine. Do you see any parts for this ice maker? Do you see any internal components that I could go in and fix this ice maker internally? And like literally had to pull it up on his tablet and show him. But he handled it well. That's one of the, I always praise Austin for different things because he's taught me so much over the years. But that's one thing Austin has taught me that I really, really am thankful for, is how to deal with problematic customers. Austin is a master at it, and I'm pretty good. But if we have a customer and that customer is problematic, I know that Austin can go out there and make it right with them. I know that he can go out there because Austin, it runs off his back like no problem. Like they can be nasty to him, they can be mean to him, and if they get too nasty, he just packs his stuff up and leaves. And that's my suggestion.
Right there.
Know the limit. Know when they've crossed the line, and when they've crossed the line, pack your crap up and leave. And once you do that, you will notice a lot of times their tune changes real quick. Once that tool bag's in your hand, that refrigerator is still not fixed, and you're heading to the door. All of a sudden, big badass Johnny that was cussing you 20 minutes ago, his whole tune changes. Oh man, listen, we ain't got to go do all that. Like, let's work something out here. But know your limits and set the expectations, but do not let these customers get the best of you. Because the only thing you can control is how you react to it. If you want to learn more about this, I highly recommend the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. It is one of the greatest, next to the Bible, it is one of the greatest books that I've ever read in my life. And it talks a lot about this. It talks a lot about how we cannot control what is thrown at us. We can only control our reactions. And as someone who is very hot-headed and very, reactional, that's just the type of person I am. I'm very emotional. I'm very sensitive. I'm not a big tough guy like Dan and Adam over here. I'm a big softy, man, and I'm very emotional and I get very worked up easily. And it is something that I have tried to work on my entire life. When I was younger, my parents sent me to counseling because I was a hothead, man. I would blow up and punch holes in walls and you guys only see the nice, sweet TK. Y'all don't ever get to see the TK that punches holes in walls and loses his stuff. But I've learned over the years. I've learned over the years to first and foremost try to walk in the Spirit as much as possible. Try to walk in God's Spirit because His Spirit will bring forth fruit. And I struggle with it. I'm not going to say that I'm perfect at it. And then secondly, just treat people the way you want to be treated, even when they're not treating you right. So that's all I got. You guys got any closing comments or thoughts or anything? I got to get to the gym and go work on the old on the temple, little temple training.
I always tell my techs, never badmouth with other company's product. Never never tell somebody that one brand of appliance is better than the other. Watch how you word that stuff very closely. When I'm talking about Whirlpool compared to Frigidaire, I say the good things and the bad things about both of them. Even though we saw Whirlpool, I don't come out and say it's the best out of everything. Same thing with Samsung, same thing with LG. I give them the good points and the bad points. Just don't come out and say one product is better than the other because
that will bite you.
Your opinion, because customers don't want to hear your opinion. They want to be able to make up their own mind. So that's one thing I've learned over the years is, and especially other service companies, don't badmouth other service companies either when you're in somebody's house. No matter how bad they goofed up, don't say anything bad about them.
Yeah, that's a great tip right there.
I've had other companies badmouth me, and the customers call us up, and they're like, that really just showed what kind of a tech or what kind of a company they are. They got to feel better by making somebody else look bad, that type of thing. The perception for a customer is everything. And if you're going to sit there and badmouth it, perfect example, when I was working with Maytags the old days, they still broke. And I hear that with the Speed Queens now. Well, this is never supposed to break. Never say never. Well, other guys we've talked to, that this will never give me any problems. This is going to last forever. Well, forever's an awful long time. There's only one person I know that'll make an appliance that'll never break, and God's not in the appliance business. So, keep constantly losing your temper and firing off is how you have a heart attack in your 20s. Ask me how I know. And the doctor told me that I had 2 gifts. When the type of heart attack I had, the entire muscle group collapsed, basically crushed down on each other. He said, as young as I was, my heart should have exploded. There should have been damage. So there's nothing wrong. The second thing is the Lord gave you legs. If something's bothering you that bad, you need to walk away. You need to ask yourself, is this worth giving up my future? because losing your temper, what's going to happen? The best case scenario is going to lose a customer. Worst case scenario, end up in jail, got to have bail money. You lose your health. It affects your family. That customer is not worth that. That $99 is not worth that.
Yeah.
So that's my bit.
I'd like to remind everybody saw recently that charter boat captain on the internet. One instance of being caught on camera losing your crap destroyed that man's business. Now, I've heard through the grapevine that this guy had issues going way back when, and all we can do as believers is pray for that man that he would change his ways. But I remember another instance a few years back with a gentleman who pulled up in a marked vehicle, cussing this woman out and calling her all kinds of nasty names. His business was destroyed. Remember, this isn't the old days. Every single one of your customer has a video camera in their pocket. And if you lose your crap in front of that customer and they record you and post it on the internet, it will go viral. You will be out of business for the rest of your life, and it will destroy you. It is not worth it. God gave you 2 legs. Pick your bag up, say, God bless you, ma'am. I'll be praying for you, and walk your tail out of the house. It is not worth it losing it with these customers. Now, we probably should do a complete different episode on Adam's discussion of whether or not to say one's better than the other, because I do disagree with Adam. I 100% tell people, do not buy Whirlpool. Do not buy Maytag. I list them all out, and I tell them what to buy, and that's just my opinion. We're allowed to disagree on things. We don't always.
I try not to tell them not to buy Whirlpool because I'd be shooting myself in the foot.
And exactly, that's the difference between you and me. You have a store that sells Whirlpool. For me, I'm a technician. I'm only a technician. I'm not selling you anything other than service. So at the end of the day, I want you to buy a good, reliable, decent unit. And if I know that some are better than the others, I'm going to absolutely tell you, hey, stay away from these. And I use this phrase to kind of set the expectations when I go out. In the modern era of appliances, you have your junk and your little bit better junk. It's the honest to God truth. I don't make them. I don't design them. I don't engineer them. The only thing I do and Richmond Appliance Guys does is we fix them. So we should do an entire episode on that, because that would be a really, really good topic to discuss. Because each company, I'm not telling you it worked the way Adam does. It works for Adam. The way we do it works for us. You as the service provider or the store owner or whatever you are need to decide, how are you going to handle these situations? The way I do it might not be the way that you should do it. The way Adam does it might be better for you. But you have to decide, what is your goal at the end of that service call? If that customer has to replace their washer, and perfect example was the one from yesterday or the day before with that Maytag that I sent you guys. This lady had already spent $325, and I was back out there again. She'd already put a lid latch on it back in December of 2024. And I was back out there again with broken wires to her drain pump. She was done with Maytag. So education is important. Setting expectations is important. But above all, the way you react is so important. If you're a hothead, start praying before each call. Go say a little prayer. Say, Lord, please help me keep my cool on this one. If you know it's going to be an issue, go in there with Jesus's help and see if it doesn't help things out a little bit.
Well, another thing to realize is the manufacturers, and I don't know if anybody else has had this happen, or they received this letter. Samsung actually sent out a letter or an email stating, you got to be careful down talking our product because we may be listening. And they kind of hinted towards, even saying, hey, if you align, or if you say something bad or something derogatory, it can be held against you. And I'm like, what? I don't have the letter with me anymore, the email, but it was you basically better be careful what you're saying, because again, people will have that camera, and you're going, oh, Maytag's the biggest piece of crap. LG, I wouldn't buy an LG. They're worthless. Yada yada yada. That ends up on the YouTube and whatnot. They may come after you. You just never know anymore. Things are getting really weird out there.
I am waiting, Dan, because I've been so vocal about my hatred for Whirlpool. I am waiting for the cease and desist letter to come in the mail, or some kind of threatening letter. But my thing for Whirlpool, if you're listening, I don't know if Whirlpool watches this, but if you're listening, Whirlpool, I'd love to talk to you. I've talked to your trainers. Your trainers, I've been in Whirlpool trainings, and I've voiced my opinion very loudly. I'm not scared of you. I'm not worried about you. I personally would love to see you come back to what you used to be. I want to see you do better. Part of elevating the industry to me is holding these manufacturers responsible and fighting corporate greed and fighting the things that isn't good for the customer. So if Whirlpool, if you're watching, I would love to have a roundtable discussion. We could do it live. We can do it private. We can do it however you want. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think they care. I think they're greedy. And if I'm wrong, let them prove me wrong by their actions. But until then, I'm gonna keep my opinions on Whirlpool public, and everyone will know about it. And my opinions of Whirlpool. I will say this: my opinions of Whirlpool do not go past TK Cousins. They're not the opinions of the Service Alliance Group. They're not the opinions of the Appliance Alliance Group. They're the opinions of TK Cousins and Richmond Appliance Guys, because every single one of my techs knows the exact same things I know, and we say the exact same things. So I want to say that very clearly. I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend this weekend. Take some time off, man. Busy season is upon us. If you don't take a little time to rejuvenate, get your head right, relax, take your wife out, spend some time with the kids, do something that is going to help you do better next week. And I always say this, and I think we oftentimes take it for granted. If rest was important for Jesus and God the Father, I think it should be important to us. If God from the jump said that you need a day of rest, I think it's important to him. I'm not telling you when that day should be. I'm not a Sabbath expert, but take some time to rest this weekend. Take some time to rejuvenate, so that next week you'll be well rested. So when Ms. Johnson is flipping out about her 2-year-old Maytag, you can go in there with grace and be the light and the salt that Jesus called you to be in Matthew chapter 5, and shine that light. So anyway, love you guys. Have a great weekend. Thank everybody. You, Dan.
Have a good week.
Thank you, Adam. You guys go out there and kill it today, and we will catch you next week. Peace.
Have a blessed day.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to the Service Alliance Group podcast. Make sure you visit our website at servicealliancegroup.com for home service business resources.